Monavrat, okay? We are allowed to speak. There's no Monavrat here in the temple. Actually, the real Monavrat is to chant the names of the Lord. That's the real vow of silence. So if you want to take a vow of silence, you chant the name of Krishna. So, what is the most important part of chanting?
Listen loudly.
Yes, exactly. First comes Shravana. Hearing is the most important. Prabhupada emphasized this so many times. The hearing is the most important part. And then Kirtana, and then of course we remember Vishnu Smaran. So these are the most important aspects of chanting. When we're chanting, we want to be concentrating on the sound vibration. We want to get the benefit. We don't want to give the benefits to the other living entities and the trees. They also get the benefit. That's fine. But what is the use in giving the benefit to the shrubs and the trees and the insects crawling on the floor? Then the mantra is gone. So Krishna is dancing on your tongue when we're chanting with each beat. So each beat is bringing you closer to liberation. And then from liberation comes bhakti, and then bhakti, and there's unlimited. So as Krishna is dancing on your tongue with the sound vibration that you are creating by vibrating your tongue, vacha vegam manasa krodha vegam, this is the most important. One who can conquer the tongue can conquer the world. So when Krishna is dancing on your tongue, then he goes straight into the ear. You don't let him escape. You know, Krishna, he's very mischievous. He can run here, there, and everywhere. He can be very naughty. So when he's dancing on your tongue, you don't allow him to escape. You capture him. And how do you capture him? With the ear. And then from the ear, where does it go? Into the heart. So when it goes into the heart, then that's when you get the mysterious blessings of the full benefit of the Maha Mantra. Attentive chanting. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success, which is Krishna Prem. That's what we want. That's what we all desire. That's what Krishna desires for us. So when we're chanting, chant with attention. Don't just blah, 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 blah. We don't want that. Full focus chanting with attention. So please now let us all engage. One round of chanting. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura. So was that good? Everybody got the benefit from that? Yes, very good. So would you like to do another round?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we're going to give a talk from the Bhagavad Gita this evening, and hopefully I can find what I'm looking for. Yes. I don't know how I'm going to broadcast this. This is very brief. It's only 2 minutes long, but it's from Prabhupada. Prabhupada spoke this in Nairobi, 1975. I just cut it. I was listening to Prabhupada this evening before I came down to the temple room, and I happened to catch this quote from Prabhupada. A devotee sent it to me, and I was surprised. Oh, Prabhupada gave many talks in Nairobi, and his morning walks, particularly his morning walks and his room conversations in Nairobi, were very dynamic, very strong. Prabhupada was very strong in his preaching. And I don't know why, but Prabhupada was particularly bold in the way he spoke when he came to Africa. Prabhupada was very dedicated to preaching in Kenya. Really dedicated to preaching in Kenya. He came here many times. Ajamil and Rida Prabhus, they're coming next year. They're interviewing all the people, as many as are left, who they're doing research, and they're compiling a book on Prabhupada's visits to Kenya. Africa, but Kenya in particular. Prabhupada put a lot of energy, time, and effort into the preaching in Africa. And he was very strong. It was Prabhupada who bought himself personally the Nairobi temple. He bought the grounds for it, on which the temple today is built. And when he brought the deities, Prabhupada brought Sri Radha Bhakti himself personally. He chose those deities in Jaipur, brought them himself, and of course in those days there were no mobile phones or anything like that. So when Prabhupada arrived with the deities, Brahmananda hadn't got the telegram. Brahmananda Swami, he was in charge of East Africa at the time. He hadn't got the telegram from Bombay, where Prabhupada left from. So when Prabhupada arrived in the airport, there was nobody to meet him. And he had the deities with him. Was it Shruta Kirti he was traveling with? Anyway, I forget who his servant was. Madhusudana, yes, that's right. So Prabhupada got a taxi from the airport, and Prabhupada arrived at the gate, and the Askari didn't know who Prabhupada was. So he said, tell him that Bhaktivedanta Swami is here. So goes in, and of course the Askari, he couldn't hear the name Bhaktivedanta Swami. He said, there's a mizay at the door for you. Brahmananda was in the shower. And Brahmananda said, well, he can wait. So he goes back out and says, tell him the spiritual master is here. So Brahmananda dashed out to open the gate in his gumcha, and Prabhupada was there with the deities on the footpath. Sri Radha Bhakti Vihar. So, you know, this is how Prabhupada sacrificed so much. Krishna went in the cargo, and Prabhupada booked a seat and put Radharani beside him on the plane, on the seat beside him. Prabhupada was so much emphasizing the preaching in Africa. He didn't want the preaching in Africa to be taken as being less important than the West, less important than New York or London or the rest of the world. Prabhupada emphasized the preaching in Africa very much. I was very fortunate insofar as when I went to America for 2 years, I was on the road doing the research and interviewing hundreds, thousands of devotees for the Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrita. So I got that service I was given by Satrup Maharaj, my spiritual master. So this is a small quote. I'll try to catch it on the microphone here. This is a small quote from Prabhupada.
Down. One minute. The speaker is down here, just putting it down.
Down here.
Yes, Mike.
We are not going to convert every Muslim to Christian. He may think that this Christian is a good Muslim, but we think that he is a spirit soul, part and parcel of God.
So you heard that? We are not interested in preaching to Christians, Muslims, or Hindu. We're not interested. He may think that he is Christian, Muslim, or Hindu. But this is a misconception. We are not Christian, we're not Muslim, we're not Hindu. These are designations we are given at birth. Certainly for my part, I was born into a Christian community, grew up as a Christian, was educated as a Christian, and considered myself to be a Christian. That was my designation, just like my names. Names were given by my parents, but the name is not me. The designation of Christian or Muslim or Hindu or Jew, that's not us. We are spirit soul. And Prabhupada emphasized this everywhere he went. So when I first met the devotees, I hadn't got an idea what they were. No idea. I'd never seen a devotee in my life. I'd never heard the Mahamantra. It was very common in Ireland in those days, still the case, that people would go around and we would have music festivals. Irish traditional music is very popular. So we go around at all the festivals in Ireland. You would have 32 counties in Ireland. Each county would have a competition. And then each province would have a competition. And then the whole country would have one competition. So I went to that competition of Irish music festivals on for a week. And people, of course, are engaged in all kinds of intoxication and drug taking and alcohol and everything like that. I was no different. And in the middle of all this, the devotees came chanting down the street, dressed in saffron, shaved head, with tilak. I'd never seen anything like it in my life, ever. And the devotees were handing out sticks of incense to everybody who wanted to take one. And I was just looking at the stick of incense, just burning for half an hour. I just looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. Then I followed the devotees to their tent. The only principle I ever observed in my life was I was a vegetarian from the age of 5. I didn't want to eat meat. And of course, eating meat in Ireland, eating meant eating meat. If you didn't eat meat, that meant you were ill, there was something wrong with you. So my mother took me to see the doctor. The doctor said there's nothing wrong with this child. And so my mother said, well, he hasn't eaten. He doesn't eat. So the doctor was concerned. So he wrote a note, and my mother was given a note to take me to see a child psychiatrist. She brought me to see a child psychiatrist. He examined me for an hour. And at the end of the hour, my mother said, so what's wrong with him? And the psychiatrist said, he doesn't want to eat meat. Yes, I know that, my mother said, but what's wrong with him? He doesn't want to eat meat. So that was the only principle I ever observed until I met the devotees. So when I met the devotees, I was already vegetarian. So I followed the devotees. They set up a pandal, a big tent, where they were chanting, distributing books, giving out prasadam. And the main thing they were giving out were plates of halava. Big, big mountains of halava, steaming halava, soji, as you call it, on a plate. So I'd never seen this before, and I didn't know what it was. But because I'd been taking some bangi, you get very hungry. So I just devoured this big plate of halava, ate and ate and ate. I said to the devotee, what do you put in this? And he said, bhakti. And where can I buy this bhakti? It tastes so amazing. He said, no, you can't buy it in the shop. You have to purchase it with your heart. So I thought this was a very strange philosophy. So the devotees gave me a card, and a year later, I happened to be in the temple in Dublin on the same street, and that's when I joined, and I never left. Walked in the door for a plate of prasadam, and that was it. There was no looking back. So what has this got to do with Christianity? It just enhances the teachings of Jesus. It embraces the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of Muhammad, the teachings of what we consider to be the Hindu scriptures. If we examine the Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedic literature, we won't find the word Hindu. That's why Prabhupada is including, we're not interested in preaching to the Christian, the Muslim, the Jew, or the Hindu. We are interested in preaching to the spirit soul. It's not that we have a soul. We are soul. We have a body. So we reverse our consciousness, reverse the teaching. So I'd like to give a talk this evening from chapter 9, verse 14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridha vrata namasyanchascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashate. There's a very nice purport here to this verse. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So we see in this verse, Krishna is using the word eternally, always, twice in the same verse. Satatam, nitya. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yatantascha dridha vrata. We just chanted around on our japamala. So this dridha vrat, this is what is needed. This dridha. We take a vow, we take a vrat. But how do we take that vow? Just like on New Year's Eve, everybody takes a vow. Oh, this year I'm going to give up chocolate. This year I'm going to give up this. This year I'm going to give up that. And then within 3 or 4 days, all the vows for the new year are gone. Or on Diwali, we might make a vow, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that for the new year coming, whatever the case may be. But of course, within days, within a few weeks, it's gone. Just like I myself, I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day until I met the devotees. So that plate of halava gave me a higher taste, and I had no need for any cigarettes anymore. And yet, before that plate of halava, I had tried hundreds of times to give up cigarettes. Of course I knew they were bad for me. Of course I knew they were bad for your health. They kill you. It's written on the packet. A blind man could see it, because it's written in Braille also. But still I tried and tried and tried. I failed. After 3 or 4 days of solid determination, I'll never smoke again. 3 or 4 days, another cigarette, another beedi. So this is the problem. We make these vows, but Krishna is saying here, make this vow with determination. To do what? Satatam kirtayanto mam, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. That's the key. That's the secret. It's with devotion. Krishna doesn't need anything else. Krishna needs our devotion. We need his love. He needs our love. In the conversation between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami, where they're discussing the Atma Rama verse, it's a little complex, a little technical, but in that verse, Krishna is describing, Lord Chaitanya is describing the gunas as Krishna. The guna himself is Krishna. That's the way Lord Chaitanya is describing it. And Lord Chaitanya is describing that in the CC, that Krishna is lacking. He is feeling some absence because of our lack of investment of love for him. He feels this absence of love. So he wants us to love him a million times more than we want to love Krishna. That's why he's advocating in practically every verse of Bhagavad Gita, just forget about all your nonsense. He's even saying it to Arjuna, you're speaking learned words, but you're talking like a fool. Jai Shishi Rukmini Dwakari Sitra. When I was leading the Arti Kisumu, I was chanting Jai Shishi Radhavakari Hari Ki Jai. Everybody was silent. Everywhere I go, I have to think, who's in charge here? So I always forget. So this lovely, lovely, lovely purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He's no other business. He has no other business. So why do we quote that verse so often? Harinam, 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 Eva Kevala. Kalo, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva, Gatiranyata. Why is it repeated 3 times? Imploring us to chant the names of the Lord. Why is it saying there's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way? 3 times it's repeated in the same shloka. But we will always try to find some other way to wiggle out. Yeah, there's no other way, but because the mind, it takes us in so many different directions. If we can learn to control the mind, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it can be the best friend or it can be the worst enemy. It's up to us. It's entirely up to us. It doesn't make any difference if somebody is more advanced than us, somebody is less advanced than us, somebody is equal to us, somebody is making more progress in spiritual life than us, somebody is not making any progress in spiritual life, so we can compare ourselves to them. So we see, he's fallen and I'm great. It makes no difference what the other person is doing. It's irrelevant. It makes not a shred of difference, none whatsoever. What will bring us back to God is the endeavor that we make, the investment that we put into our chanting, our kirtan, our seva. Patram pushpam palamtayam no me bhakta bhajati. Bhakta, 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 bhakta. Krishna is always asking for love, 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 love. What's the relationship between Krishna and Mother Yashoda? Between Krishna and Nanda Maharaj? Between Krishna and the cowherd boys, Krishna and the gopis? It is based purely and solely and simply on that one word, love. That's all Krishna wants. And that's the main thing that we have to give. We give our service with love and with devotion. Love and devotion. This is the key. We can go through all the ritualistic processes, go to our different ceremonies, go to our different artis, offer our diva, everything like that, but everything must be done with love and devotion. This is the key. We offer our food with love and devotion. Everything we do it for Krishna. That's the secret of life. There are 2 days which are the most important days of our life. The day we were born and the day we understand why we were born. Those are the 2 most important days we will ever experience. The day we're born, the day we understand why. So Krishna is telling us we are very, very, very fortunate people. How many people are living in this town of Mombasa? How many people are here tonight listening to this talk on Bhagavad Gita, listening to discussions about Krishna, discussing about Krishna, chanting the holy names, engaging in japa? A handful. Samahatma Sadurlabha. Krishna says it again. Such a great soul is very rare. This is a very, very rare golden opportunity to get out of this cycle of birth, death, disease, old age. Just forget about the anxiety. Forget about all of it. All the problems of life, they just go away if we surrender to the process. But we have to surrender to the process. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, just surrender unto me, I will give you protection, do not fear. Sarvadharma, I will give you protection, do not fear. But Lord Chaitanya, he has even removed that presupposition. He has removed that precondition that Krishna is putting. Surrender unto me, Krishna says. Lord Chaitanya says, just chant. Just chant. Chant the holy names of the Lord. And it's exemplified in this verse. It's one of my favorite verses. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Prabhupada goes on to say, when the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, His uncommon pastimes. And they're just beautiful. The first time I heard the Krishna book, we used to drink a glass of milk at night before taking rest. And we'd have a banana or an apple to go with our milk. And one devotee would walk up and down the line of devotees reading Krishna book. It was such a wonderful, simple life. We've made it so complicated today. And then we take rest and we're thinking of whatever pastime we have heard about from the Krishna book after that devotee had read. We'd read the pastime every single night. That's the way in which we all came to learn the Krishna book practically by heart. Engaging in just listening, hearing the pastimes of the Lord. And it's so wonderful to hear. Whatever the pastime of the Lord is. It's like biting a gulab, Prabhupada would describe it. You bite the gulab on this side, you bite it on that side, it's all sweet. So it doesn't matter which book we pick up, which part of the Shastra we're engaging with, which part we're attracted to, it's all sweet. And it's all there for the purpose of getting us out of the cycle of birth, death, disease, and old age. And we all want to do that. But we have to take this really seriously, this vow with determination of simply chanting the names of the Lord. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, is not described as Mahatma in Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod, not a human being. That is devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and Smaranam. Remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. So pick whatever rasa you like. Whatever one is you're attracted to. Focus on that ras. It will be revealed to you what your original transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord. And that transcendental relationship is there right now at this very second. It's just that we're covered. We can't see it. It will be revealed to us through the chanting of the holy name, through our japa. This is the key. The focus on the japa is so important. That's why Prabhupada emphasized japa mala so much. And that's why we observe chanting as the highest pinnacle. No matter what we do, we may engage in so many other activities, so many other ceremonies, so many artis, and so on and so forth. But Shravanam, Kirtanam is the main emphasis. In devotional service, there are certain levels of activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, the Kadashi, on the appearance day of the Lord, etc. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. Sure to achieve the desired result. So what does Krishna mean when he says, "Declare it boldly, O Arjuna, my devotee never perishes"? Because the devotee doesn't perish. We look at all the trials and tribulations that Srila Prabhupada went through when he started the mission in New York. For a year he was wandering, practically speaking, alone. When he was just about to step off the boat in New York, he turned to Captain Pandya, the captain of the steamship Jalabuta. And Prabhupada said to Captain Pandya, "My dear Captain, I don't have a single dollar to my name. I have 70 rupees in my pocket, but not a single dollar. What will I do in this country without a dollar?" So he asked the captain, "Please, can you buy a set of my books?" So the captain said, "Okay, how much are the books?" And Prabhupada said, $15. $15. Captain Pandya, he pulled out a $20 note and he gave it to Prabhupada and he said, "Keep the change." So that was the first money that Prabhupada had when he stepped down the gangplank onto the dock in New York City. $20. Can we build this temple for $20? Or Nairobi, or New York, or London, or Paris, or Rome, or Australia, or Canada, or anywhere. Look at all the temples we have in India. They started with that $20. $20. And then Prabhupada had no place to stay. When he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, and he stayed in the Agarwal's house, in their flat. They didn't have a house. He slept on the couch. There was no bedroom for Prabhupada to sleep in. They were keeping all their foodstuffs in the fridge, not all of it vegetarian. Prabhupada kept his on a certain shelf in the fridge, and he tried to do the best he can. They were apologizing for the fact that they couldn't accommodate him. Prabhupada tolerated. Butler, Pennsylvania is I lived in Philadelphia, I lived in Pennsylvania. Butler, Pennsylvania is an insignificant place out in the middle of the sticks. It's a nothing town. And that's where Prabhupada lived. And then eventually he moved to Pittsburgh, and then after Pittsburgh, he took another bus, an overnight bus to New York City. At the invitation, he got a vague invitation from Dr. Mishra. He moved into Dr. Mishra's apartment in New York City. He stayed with him for some time. Of course, there's a gulf of difference between the philosophy of Dr. Mishra and Srila Prabhupada's transcendental philosophy. So Dr. Mishra moved Prabhupada out after some time, after a few weeks, because he saw that Dr. Mishra saw that his students were attracted to Prabhupada. As naturally anybody who met Prabhupada was attracted instantly to Prabhupada. Strangers in the park, in Central Park in New York, they would sit and talk with Prabhupada for hours, not knowing who he was, why he was dressed the way he was dressed, and Prabhupada would just give his freedom of time to anybody who was prepared to listen. Prabhupada was very generous. In the early days of the movement, When Brahmananda and Kirtanananda and Satyarup Maharaj and Mukunda Maharaj, when they joined Prabhupada, Prabhupada was doing all the cooking, Prabhupada was doing all the cleaning, Prabhupada was washing the pots, Prabhupada was cleaning the floor. Yad yad acharati shreshtas, Krishna says in the Gita. Whatever the great man does, the common man will follow. So Prabhupada set the example for every aspect of life. Everything. The example was there. He is the perfect example for entire humanity, for all the ages. I'm a big reader. I've read hundreds of books. I've studied many philosophers. I've studied history. I did engineering. I did all kinds of subjects when I was in college and university. There's nobody compared to Prabhupada in the whole of history that I have ever encountered in my life. Nobody. Prabhupada changed the world. He literally changed the world. And we are in the very early days now of this movement. It may be 50 years since Prabhupada left. But we are in the very early days of the benefits that this movement is going to bring to the world. And you are all a part of that movement. You are all contributing to that. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So who is the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda? We are the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We should be a part of the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're aspiring devotees. So we're getting the mercy of Mahaprabhu, we're getting the mercy of the previous acharyas, we're getting the mercy of Prabhupada, and we take it. We don't run out into the rain trying to gather rainwater if you have a fork. What is the use of a fork if you're trying to gather rainwater? You go out with a bucket. So this mercy is being showered on us constantly, all the time, and we're going around with a fork trying to gather the mercy. We have to take it into our hearts, take it in with determination. And when we do that, we see the benefits instantly. Instantly. There's no need for an extra endeavor. Krishna is providing constantly, 24 hours a day. We just have to get the realization of this dependency on Krishna, this dependency on Prabhupada, and beg for the mercy of the holy name. That's what we're doing every time we hold one bead. Make sure that bead counts. Please, 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 Krishna, engage me in your service. That's what we're doing every day. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it as some ritualistic process. It's not. This is our lifeline. This is our very breath. We call Krishna Pranamath, the Lord of my breath, the very breath that I breathe. He is the Lord of that. So every opportunity we get, just engage in service to the best of our ability. Stick with the process, stick with the chanting, stick with the japa, and just gather together and give each other shelter. Because the forces out there, the forces of illusion, the forces of evil are very, very, very strong. But when we come together in a group, we have strength. You take the kuni, you break one stick of kuni, very easy. You gather the firewood that's drying, you break it very easy. But you put all those kuni together in a bunch, not even an elephant will break. That's why it's so important we gather together and we engage in this Sankirtan Yajna. It's crucial. It's absolutely essential to our life. So I better shut up now because I've been talking too much. We can discuss another time. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'd be very happy to listen, to hear, especially criticisms you might have had about anything I said or any comments. I'd be very grateful. In other words, thank you very much. All glory to Sri Prabhupada.
Tell something about Mombasa, Prabhupada, what he told about Mombasa.
So when Prabhupada was here, Prabhupada got quite ill in many times during his mission. Prabhupada was with us just 11 years, at least in the West. He started in 1966, he left us in 1977. So in 11 years, Prabhupada started this worldwide movement making thousands of disciples, opening hundreds of centers, temples, farm projects, all kinds of activities all around the world. Meeting with thousands of people, giving lectures every day. So at one point in time, Prabhupada got quite ill. So he was in London. So the devotees suggested, he suggested bringing Prabhupada to Switzerland. So they brought Prabhupada to Switzerland. Of course, it was in winter, it was cold, it was snowing. Prabhupada was stuck in a hotel, was pacing up and down the corridor, switching on the light, which was on an automatic switch off. Push the button, the light comes on for a couple of minutes. Prabhupada was walking up and down the corridor, chanting his round. And at the other end of the corridor, the light would go off. Prabhupada would push the button again and go up and down like that. So I told Bhagavan, take me out of this place, this is hell. So they brought Prabhupada to Mombasa. And Prabhupada was so much at home here. He gave lectures in the Hindu Union, in the temple, in the center of Mombasa. He loved it. He stayed near the lighthouse. And he absolutely loved it. He said it's like a heavenly planet. So when Indra was flying over here, many, many millions of years ago, he dropped a little bit of Indralok here. And this became Mombasa. And it's a fact. I mean, we have everything here. Everything. Ideal weather, ideal conditions. You know how much I pay for heating in my house in Birmingham where I live? I pay £150 a month just for heating. And you have to pay for that all year round, even in summer when there's not much need for heating. The temperature in Britain goes from 20 degrees in the summer to 5 degrees in the winter. And even in the summer, you're lucky if you get 20 degrees. So you practically need heating all year round. You don't have to pay for heating. Practically speaking, if you're eating something, you're eating an apple, you spit out the seed, it will grow right in front of your face. The place is so fertile. You're living in heaven. You have no idea. People are aspiring to go to the Western countries to do this and to do that and do the other. It's a waste of time. People are in misery, absolute misery. They're all dreaming of, when they go from Africa, I know so many Africans who live in England, they're all dreaming of Africa. So why did you come here if you're dreaming of where you came from? Oh, well, I make so much more money here. Yeah, but you're miserable. What's the point? So this is like the donkey running before the carrot, just constantly running. He never gets the carrot. But that the illusion is like that. The illusion of life, it's like that. So Prabhupada loved Kenya. He particularly loved Mombasa. He gave many lectures. He spent 6 weeks here, recovering his health. And put a great, great emphasis on the preaching to Kenyans. A great emphasis. So that part we have yet to do. That part we have to fulfill. When Prabhupada came here, he really, really got on Brahmananda's case. And in fact, there were so many Indians who went to the airport to meet with Prabhupada. Thousands. Because everybody recognized his greatness as his saintly nature. Thousands of people went to the airport to meet with Prabhupada. Jomo Kenyatta was the president at the time. Prabhupada was refused entry. He was refused entry. And he come on a long flight from Australia. The entry was refused. Because the government was afraid, they didn't know what was going on. Who's this person? What's going on? Is this a revolution? Is this something? Yes, of course it's a revolution, but in a different sense. It's a spiritual revolution. So Prabhupada went to London, and then he wrote a very strong letter to Jomo Kenyatta, outlining his mission and why was he refused entry. And after that, the next time Prabhupada came, there was absolutely no problem. I don't know if Jomo Kenyatta actually replied, but Prabhupada wrote to him directly. Just like he wrote to Nehru, he wrote to Mahatma Gandhi. Prabhupada wrote all the letters to all the famous people in the world. He wrote to the Pope. Prabhupada was very bold, abide, fearless. So Prabhupada came, and then the next time he said, you see, he told Ramananda, Hare Krishna. These people refuse me entry because you are preaching only to the Hindus. You're not preaching to the Africans. So the Africans don't understand my mission. They don't understand what's going on. So this is so important that we engage all the population of this country. All. Nobody should be excluded, because nobody is left out of the mercy of Krishna. And another thing we have to implement, and this is worldwide, this doesn't only apply to Kenya. We're starting here, actually in Kenya, it's very good. We have to implement Varna and Ashram. This is a must. We've established the buildings, we've established the temples, we've established the projects, restaurants, farm projects all over the world. Now we have to set an example for what the common man can follow. The common man doesn't understand Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't understand Srimad Bhagavatam, he doesn't understand all these different shlokas and everything. It seems strange and alien to him, just like it was to me. I was very fortunate that something clicked and something connected, and I actually eventually joined and became a devotee. But we can't expect that it will connect in the same way with everybody. So we have to use our intelligence in such a way that we can preach to the common man. So the whole world will be chanting Hare Krishna. And we have a great opportunity to do that here in Kenya. We have all the facility. We have all the people who are very pious. Kenyans are very, very pious people. They all go to church, they all go to the mosque. They're very much devoted to God. So all we have to do is add Krishna. And we have to figure out in an intelligent way the means by which we can do that and implement that and put that into practice. That will be so much beneficial not only to us, for the population of the world, for the population of Kenya, but it will be so much pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So much pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So we have a big mission. The job is not over. The job is just beginning. Prabhupada spent a whole lifetime from 1922 in preparation to go on that voyage to New York, where he started the movement in 1966. 44 years Prabhupada was in preparation for 1966, the founding of Iskcon. He wasn't wasting his time in those 44 years, from the time he met his spiritual master in 1922 up to 1966. He was preparing. Every day was a day in preparation. Every day was a lesson to be learned as to how we could implement the order of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And that is also our mission. Prabhupada has given us the mission. Prabhupada said, 50% of my work is done. Now please, you, my disciples and grand disciples, which is us, the rest is up to you. I've given you all I can. Everything is in my books. Just follow my books. Everything will be revealed. Everything is revealed. So all we have to do is Bolo Hari Jai. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. You have given very inspiring lecture, classes. So Prabhuji also will continue tomorrow. So he will give class 11 o'clock. So all of can join.